Welcome back, everyone, to Common Sense Choices, and I'm Linda Toupin. Today is episode number 22. If you just stumbled in here by accident for the very first time, or maybe you heard about our topic and you came here on purpose, welcome. Pull up a seat and enjoy the conversation. We're glad to have you. For those of you who have been with me for a portion of our journey since December the 2nd, or you've been with me for all 21 previous episodes, it's because of you guys that our podcast is receiving wonderful reviews. Thank you for your likes, thank you for your comments, and thank you for your shares, because that's actually what makes our podcast work. So thank you all so very, very much. Well, this week, God gave you a present. It came wrapped in a box with a great big bow, and inside was 168 hours, 10,080 minutes. And he said, spend it. And you get to spend it on anything you want to spend it on, because everything you're spending time on is a choice. And of course, choices accumulate over our life. In addition, tonight, when you lay your head on the pillow, you will have made 35,000 choices. Now, some of those are somewhat insignificant, but some of them over time will make a huge difference in your life. So that's called personal responsibility over one's own choices. But one of those choices today was you clicked play. And because you did so, it is my prayer that something that will be said here will lift you, encourage you, edify you, or even challenge you. And that is my mission. Well, we are on Apple and Spotify or YouTube. And if you're listening on a platform that allows you to drive while you're listening, be sure that your eyes are straight ahead, hands at 9 and 3, and enjoy the conversation. If you're on a platform that allows you to comment, please do. The more you comment, what kind of things do you comment? Like, tell me who you are and where you're from and how many episodes, and just something personal about yourself, or just comment on something that one of our guest speakers is saying. And hey, I was raised Southern Baptist. Just say amen every now and then. That'll work for me. The more times you comment, the more chances you get for a great gift from me. Well, the very best way to ensure that you always receive these episodes, so everybody say it with me, best way. The very best way to ensure that you never miss an episode is to sign up for my concierge service. I don't know about y'all, but I love a concierge service. I just love it when people take care of me in a hotel or any other organization. And so I want to take care of you. So by signing up at lindatoupin.com, you will receive every episode in your email inbox every Thursday at 7 p.m. It's just a special concierge service that I'm doing for you. It's absolutely free of charge. Now, I'm going to do today what they do on TikTok. I've been watching these and I know how to do it now. All right. If you're on your laptop to sign up, it's in the upper right-hand corner. If you're on your phone, it's in the upper left-hand corner of my website. So see how the magic just happened there and those screens appeared and those sign-up buttons? I'm getting good at it. Okay. Anyway, well, over at lindatoupin.com, in addition to signing up, you will find some wonderful souvenirs with our mantra. Over behind my shoulder is a 7-foot piece of art with our mantra. It is the foundation for our podcast. So say it with me with conviction and passion. I am where I am by the choices I've made or I've allowed other people to make for me. That is personal responsibility. And so today you will find it on the coffee mug of all of my guest speakers, but you can have one too. And the little word choices, like it comes in pink and red and green and orange, or you can have it on an 8x8 canvas print. And you can put those on these little stands that you get down at Hobby Lobby or Target. I've seen these in therapist office. I've seen them in doctor's offices. You can put them in your classroom. You can put them in your home to remind people that they are where they are by the choices they've made or they've allowed other people to make for them. And also for the very first time, we have, and you'll see it on the screen, a 2¼ by 2¼ inch kitchen magnet. Now, all of these are very reasonably priced, but I even have better news for you today. If you're running it as a promotion or you're giving it as a gift or a prize, you can get a 20% discount when you order 5 or more by just using the promo code LT20. LT, like Linda Toupin, LT20. Well, I said that in December of last year was on mental health. So make a note if you're like, woo, I need some help there. Episodes 5 through 7 was physical health. Episodes 8 through 16 dealt with what does it truly truly take to work a business from home. Now, some of you are working from home for your corporate job, and some of you are working businesses on your own. You own your own business from your home, and it's clearly the going thing these days. So those episodes are for you, 8 through 16, and there's literally hundreds of years of experience from my guest speakers who have mastered it. Episode 17 is required listening for every woman in America. I will not be happy until every woman in America and the world has listened to episode 17. So if you're taking notes, make a big circle and make sure you're sharing that with every woman you know. It is my personal and integrative doctor, functional doctor, Dr. Lena Edwards. And then episodes 18 through 21 that we just finished was on children, grandchildren, and schools and school choice and school boards. And if you were with me last week with Bette Pate, who did an incredible job about Christian grandparents, I said, hey, in the end of June, we're going to be heading down on the road and we're going to learn how to pack and we're going to learn how to travel. And those are my next episodes. And then as soon as I stopped filming that episode, we had another school shooting. And I don't know about you, but the first thing I said when it all happened is, why are we so broken? What is wrong with us? Those of us who grew up in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and even 80s, we knew all kinds of kids who had guns in their pickup trucks. And we were surrounded with guns, and nobody ever thought the thought of killing another person, or rarely, especially not children. And you just feel like in such despair. And I thought, I can't do it. I can't go into another series of episodes without bringing two people to you today that spend their life working, thank God they do, with the broken. And I'm going to be honest with you. I know I have a very skewed filter about life. I chose a profession in sales. And I worked with driven people, happy people, people who set goals, people who strive for great things. I worked with the middle of the bell curve people, taking them to a higher level. That was my job for 40 years. And I know I did not even begin to see a fraction of the broken. And so I know that skews my viewpoint. And so before I bring them on, I'm going to go back to my own website, back to last fall when I started this, because it really applies to why these two people are on the screen with me today. I don't like the word mission statement. It's so politically correct. So this is kind of why I did what I did. It just said, in times like these, we need strong, competent citizens. Okay, is this ringing a bell? In times like these, we need strong, confident citizens who are healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Consider your time with me each week to be a life skills class filled with hope and strategy for a better you, which in turn will make a better world. So we're going to focus today on hope and strategy. So let me introduce you to two very special people who, thank God, He called them to work with the dysfunctional, with the broken. So the first beautiful woman I'm going to introduce to you is LaDema Cummins, and she has worked in the mental health field for over 30 years, wow, as a psychiatric nurse practitioner. And she's worked with individuals and families providing therapy, group counseling, and medication management. LaDema's clients have struggled with everything from mild anxiety and depression to severe mental illnesses. And currently, she is providing consultation services along with medication management for people with dementia. LaDema is most excited about her business that she started a year ago called the Willow Group. Isn't that a beautiful name? Through this business, she provides a monthly podcast, which I have had the privilege of listening to, called Embrace the Wrestle. Isn't that so timely? Embrace the Wrestle, which covers topics related to mental health and just life in general. And she's also offering life coaching for women wanting to raise their success level in their career path. The second beautiful woman we're going to meet today, Laura Young Shoulders, was a single parent of two when she made the decision to return to school to study social work after several years as a blue-collar factory worker. Isn't that cool? See? You can change your life by simply making a choice. Her experience includes time in the justice system where she worked with the public defender's office in both juvenile and circuit court. Her primary role here was to bring alternative sentencing options, including intervention and treatment in lieu of incarceration, in an effort to identify and address underlying factors contributing to delinquency. She also ran a juvenile drug court for 3 years. Upon leaving the justice system, Laura worked in the community mental health field as a therapist for 2 children's psychiatric residential treatment facilities before entering private practice. And for the past 13 years, Laura has worked in a private psychiatric medical practice as a clinical psychotherapist, answering the call to help others achieve deeper healing and freedom. She has recently retired from that clinical practice to launch a brand new healing ministry where she will marry her clinical experience with the mission of Jesus Christ through prayer, counsel, and coaching. It is my great honor to bring 2 precious friends to the screen today, LaDema and Laura. Good morning, girls.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Miss LaDema, you're up in Indianapolis this morning?
Yes, and it's sunny outside. We've had a lot of rain lately.
Well, when my son was deciding where he was going to do his residency and eventually his practice, because he's a doctor, I said, just don't go north. Just don't go north. If you want me to go, you can go south, but don't go north. So I appreciate people who live up north and have to endure more winter. Laura, what about you? You're over in Owensboro, Kentucky?
Yeah, Western Kentucky. It's really nice outside. It's pretty mild.
Is
really
it?
Good. Sun shining, yeah.
Well, girls, did y'all get your coffee mugs in time?
Yes.
I put this podcast together on like a moment's notice, and you all were so gracious to change your schedules around this week because obviously all of this just happened that we just unfortunately had to witness, and I had to get you your mugs. So thank you for that. Well, everybody's anxious to hear from you today, including me. And so I'd like to just kind of start with your story. LaDema, why did you decide to go into the field? I mean, do you even remember how that decision was made?
I do. I was very fortunate because I knew from the time I was about 4 years old that I wanted to be a nurse because I had an older cousin that was in nursing school, and I got to go to school with her one day, and they had mannequins in the beds that looked like patients, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. So there I was going to be a nurse, and I did. And then when I finished nursing school, I worked in a pediatric intensive care unit and then a trauma center, and I enjoyed the trauma center. However, I was always the one that wanted to know what was going on behind whatever had happened to the people that came in. So, and whenever we knew that we had a mental health or psychiatric patient come in and I was on duty, I was the one that got to manage that patient. So anyway, I went back to school, got my master's in psychiatric nursing, and have loved it. It's afforded me a lot of different experiences and opportunities. I've primarily worked with people in outpatient settings and only with adults, but just about every adult population there is. And most of my career was spent in working in an inner city community mental health center or at the Indianapolis VA Medical Center. So
wow. So you've seen some pretty harsh things in your life.
I have. Yes.
So, and that was something that, I wanted the audience to understand is my filter is skewed because, I grew up in a very healthy home. I've had a very healthy life, as far as being around mentally healthy people. And sometimes my judgment is a little bit skewed because I don't see what everybody else sees that are in your field. Well, LaDema, I'm sure that thousands of patients have been blessed because you made that decision when you were 4 years old.
I hope so.
Laura, what about you? I know from the introduction, this was not, you didn't decide this when you were 4.
Actually, when I was a little girl, I wanted to like kick in doors and be a DEA agent. I know I've always sort of been on the edge of norm kind of person, but when I was 16, I got pregnant and found myself in a position like of needing help, needing people. I grew up in a home where both my parents are still married. I grew up in a pretty sound home. In most ways, made some poor decisions, and found myself in a blue collar situation, making ends meet. And when I decided to go back to school, I really enjoyed the judicial system. I enjoyed diving in and being able to do the interviews with the people to find out, how did you come to be? How did this end up being your path? And I really thought that was going to be my career goal. I really thought that that's what I was going to do. And like many things in government, the funding wasn't there. And I didn't get to follow the path that I had created for myself. And so I went looking for a job and ended up as a therapist at a psychiatric residential treatment facility in 2 children's homes. And my eyes were opened very quickly to a reality that I was completely unprepared for. School does not prepare you, honestly, for what you're going to encounter. And you want to talk about go home and give your kids a hug, kind of stuff. And so I did that for about a year. And honestly, it was just a very intense year. A lot of just trying to rationalize things in my own mind. How is this really the world? Have I been living under a rock? I thought I'd been living, So anyway, I accidentally landed in a position in a medical practice, a psychiatrist's office. And it became my passion, because as I grew myself, as I healed myself, I was then able to share that with other people. We are wounded healers, I believe. And so it just became my passion to be able to help others to overcome their trauma, overcome the world, what the world has done, to get back to our deepest identity. That's just become my passion. And so that's sort of why I've made the decision to not be necessarily in public corporate medicine, because people are people aren't numbers, people aren't statistics, they're people. And I'm fortunate because I'm in a position where I can do that. So I'm very grateful. I'm very excited. So,
well, I've heard that sentence more than once with Dr. Lena Edwards when she talked about why she left traditional medicine and went into her own practice and integrated functional medicine, because people are not numbers, they're individuals, and they need more than 5 minutes and a drug. So, okay. Is it just Linda's Pollyanna-ish attitude, or is our society broken? It just feels like everything is crumbling around us. And the school shooting is just one incident. We could go on and on. You all have to see this every single day. Has it always been this way? Has society always been broken, or is it on a rapid incline? I mean, what are you guys seeing in your offices? So Laura, we'll start first with you, because you've been out there with kids, and kids is kind of what brought this whole topic to our forefront. So are we broken?
There is a lot of brokenness in our society. There is, in my opinion, a lot of broken family systems are broken. I just feel like there's no hope. People don't know how to dream. They don't have, there's just no hope. I feel like, um, I feel like that the breakdown of the family, the breakdown of society, people will eat anything that they are fed. And we just see a lot of negative. The world is negative. There's always a negative spin on things unless you go looking for the positive. And many people anymore don't have role models. I feel like that people are so influenced by media. They're so influenced by the current events in the world. And I believe that there's a brokenness. I don't think it's without hope, but I do believe that there's a brokenness. And I just see a culture of depression, anxiety, and just almost a blatant disregard for the value of life in general.
Okay. Well, it's interesting because obviously my audience knows that I talk to everybody before we ever get on here. And one of the things that I remember we talked about, you brought up, is just the lack of positive role models constantly being put in front of you. So, again, my filter is, as a child growing up, the movies I watched, the TV shows, there was full of role models. Like every TV show was good versus evil. Everyone was good versus evil. And there was, you wanted to be the person on the show who was the good guy, the good person. And, it's hard to find even a good guy in a TV show or a movie now. And we were taught, and we read books about people who overcome enormous odds in their life. And those were the people that we were to aspire to, were the people who had overcome all the bad stuff. Okay. But you're right. I don't see it anymore. I don't see that in our media as being put out there. So thank you for bringing that up, Laura. LaDema, you're working mainly with adults, but so would you say we've always been this broken, or is it on an incline, and why?
I do think it's on an incline. And like Laura said, I think the breakdown of the nuclear family has a lot to do with it. I think with the media, all the social media, we have so much news that we're just inundated with every day if we allow that. And I think we have a nation of weary people, weary adults, weary parents, weary grandparents. And I think what happens is when we're tired and down about the circumstances in our world, in our nation, in our community, then we don't have very much tolerance for anything that's different from us. We don't have any tolerance for change or any kind of stress. And so then I think that feeds into everybody kind of being at everybody's throats about things. And what I tell people that I see, my clients, is turn off the news, because
Yes.
I don't care which side of the fence you're watching your news on. It's all negative, and it all makes me angry. So just turn it off, and be careful about what you're doing on social media too, because I think we have to really focus on surrounding ourselves with positivity. And that may sound kind of Pollyannish, but I think we have to be very intentional about that, to surround ourselves with people that are positive, people that aren't going to be talking about all the world ugliness, that you can talk about hope. You can talk about future oriented things. Dream. Yes. Dream. And so I think that's a big piece of it. I talk to people about that a lot. And I know myself, I mean, we can't always just cut out the people in our lives that are more negative, but we can limit the time that we spend with the people that bring us down, because oftentimes those people, that are very negative minded and want to talk about politics and all that kind of stuff are family members. And so we're obviously not going to, kick them out of our lives, but I think we can minimize the amount of time that we spend with them and not engage in those kind of conversations.
Right. Right. Well, it's interesting that you brought that up, because one of the things I was thinking about as I was listening to your answer is the other thing that has changed since I was a child is the way we view our national leaders. Okay? Because right now, the most toxic word in everybody's vocabulary is the name of any recent president. And you'll just immediately alienate half the country, etc. And that has not always been the case. I grew up with JFK. Okay. I grew up with a man who constantly talked about hopes and dreams and what we were going to accomplish, and everything was hopes and dreams. Okay. And that really even went through like Reagan and Jimmy Carter. I mean, it really continued all in through there, where people talked about things that brought people together. And, because I come from a different filter and I have been a leader for all of these years, as I listen to every president, and they're all guilty of it, I think, oh my gosh, if you had phrased that differently, you could have brought us together. If your goal was to show us our commonality instead of our differences, you would have brought us together. You have to show commonality. We all are the same. And that's sad, because I don't know, other than, I don't know how to fix that piece. And then the other thing that you said, Dima, was the dilution of the negativity. And that's going to bring us into the last question, which is the one I'm most focused on today, which is, how do we fix it? Can we fix it? And what can the average middle of the American bell curve person, who maybe doesn't see this every day but knows that there's a big problem, what do we do? And so I'm going to start that conversation with something you said, Dima, about diluting, because I've always taught in my line of work that you have to focus on the positive. And then people will say, well, the most, you become like the 5 people you hang around. And so one of those people might be social media. One of those might be the news. And I have said for decades, turn off the news. You can read the news. It has a completely different emotion when you read it. And, but that when you have a negative person in your life, or you have this person that just sends you over the edge, that you have to dilute them. Just like you would dilute a toxin in a gallon of water, it could kill you, a drop of it, but if it's in a gallon of water, it probably won't kill you. And so you have to balance what you're feeding yourself versus what the world is feeding you. And you said it, both of you said it, you've got to go out and get that and bring it into your life. So let's get to the question at hand. So Dima, I'll start with you on this one. I'm the average middle of the bell curve person out here. Okay. I may or may not have children. I may or may not have grandchildren, but I see the brokenness. I want to make a difference. I don't want to leave this world more broken than when I came into it. What can I do to help?
Well, again, I think that we need to be intentional about finding positive people that we can be around. And maybe that's going to be outside of our family. Maybe it's going to be outside of our neighbors. Look within your community. If some people find a very strong support group within their church. For some people, that is not the answer. But really looking for people that show a sense of respect to other people. I think that's another thing when you were talking about our political world. I think in the past, even if we had a difference or didn't agree with who the president was, we still showed some respect for that person. But I don't see that today, and that trickles down to just our individual lives too. I think that there are so many people that have lost respect, maybe lost respect for themselves, and don't know how to show respect to other people as well. But again, I think just seeking out positive people and surrounding ourselves with the things that bring joy to ourselves. Okay. For some people, that's reading, being in nature, I think can make a big difference with how we just how we feel internally and then how we react or respond to the world. I know for myself, when I'm feeling pretty down about things, or, like things are pretty dismal, I always like to turn to something that is going to make me laugh, something that's funny, whether it's a TV show or just, reading something online or whatever, and it can bring me out of that negative, heavy state and then go forward from there.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Dema. Laura, what
Mhm.
about you?
I feel like that if we want to make a difference, we have to pay attention. We have to pay attention. We have people see what they're looking for. And
Mhm.
I think it has to be about being intentional. I think in general, people tend to be, by our own human nature, self focused. And I think it
Mhm.
has to be an intentional commitment to make a difference. And we have to stop for the one. If you see something that looks off, or if the sense that you get about something is, that there's something there that's negative, a hello, looking at someone and asking that genuine question, what's going on? It doesn't always have to be how are you, because people will lie. So what's going on? And
Mhm.
then listen. And you don't even have to have the answer. A lot of times people just want to be heard. They just want to be heard, because in many situations there's not one answer, or the answer today may be different than the answer yesterday, or the answer tomorrow. But listen and be present. But we have to get out of ourselves and into others, and if you really want to have a chance at making a difference, and it's a ripple effect. It can be a ripple effect in how that impacts a person's life, how it impacts a community, a family. um, you know People, these kids, even adults, vulnerable adults, we're all vulnerable in some capacity, but we don't have to have um, the strength doesn't have to come from our blood relatives. Most people just need somebody. They just need
Mhm.
somebody to that they know care. You just need to know that
Mhm.
someone cares, that someone went out of their way. They might not even be able to articulate it, or might not even be able to put it to words, but it can really change how someone feels about themselves, just by knowing that, hey, someone actually stopped to ask me what was going on.
Well,
um,
I'm always fascinated, Laura and Dima, by, motivational stories and so many things that you all both have just talked about. When you think about the starfish story about the little boy on the
right.
beach, and there's a million starfishes there, and he picks one up, and the guy goes, "Oh my gosh, you're never going to save them all." And he goes, "But I saved that one, and it made a difference to that one." And it
Mhm.
has, as Laura said, it has a ripple effect.
Mhm.
It's the paying forward. There's a great motivational movie from probably the 90s, is back when we made movies that had good guys, bad guys, and positive messaging. But anyway, it was called Pay Forward. And it's like doing something for someone. Now, today we see it in kind of quirky ways, like, we go through the drive through and the person in front of you has paid for you. And I try to do that almost every week. I try to do that, like at McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or Starbucks, and I can do that financially. I can do that no matter what happens. I can do it. But we see instances where it's gone on for hours and hours, and I think people are hungry to do kind things. They just need someone to show them the kindness first.
Mhm.
and
Hmm.
um, and so that's just a real life explanation. But so, okay, I think about a lot of people I know, and they don't see the brokenness. I mean, they're not surrounded with it. They see it on TV, but they don't see it. They don't see it in their community. Maybe they live in a community or in a church, or in a situation where they just don't see it. And I think a lot of people want to be that one person that listens. They really do want to be a
Mhm.
mentor. Where would you find these broken kids? I mean, where do you go to find them? Laura, where do you find them?
Are you kidding? They come to no. I really think, Linda, they're everywhere, even in our upper middle class families. Everywhere. I think society today, these kids have been raised, and I'm making a canned general statement. So there's always the exception. Let me just say that. But most of these kids now are raised by parents who have been who came into like the technology era. And I think that these parents have become addicted sometimes to their screens and social media, and kids have been raised not necessarily by their family, not necessarily in a wholesome family environment. So it doesn't really matter whether, you are upper middle class or whether you are in the housing projects. There is always going to be a child, a young person, or even an adult who just needs an ear, or who is having some really negative thoughts, living a life that is hopeless, dark, dismal. I mean, it's everywhere. And I'm not trying to be cliche, but there is no where there might have been a time where, you go to this part of town and you go, to this organization. It's just not that's just not the case anymore.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. LaDema?
Laura, do you think if we went to like the school systems in our communities, that people within the school system could help direct people to kids or families that need some extra support? Or
I'd like to say yes, and maybe it depends probably on how large your community is. But if I'm honest, everybody's so scared that someone's going to perpetrate on somebody else that,
oh my God.
do you even really have access?
Yeah,
True.
And,
well, I
and
know
how many people are going to take that step? I mean, maybe they will if they're really super intentional, or if they've, decided that there's, or if they've got a personal mission to do something. But, is that accessibility to kids like that? Is that really a realistic thing?
Maybe that's, I don't know.
I would say for the majority of people, you just have to look with where you're already associated. Look at your country club. Look at the kid who is hanging out in the locker room, or the kid who's dressed, at the swimming pool, but is not swimming, or,
they're everywhere. Well,
they're
and
everywhere.
it's interesting what you said, Dima, because I know my son and his wife. My son started a chess club in school, and like we wanted to go and volunteer. It's like a big deal to be able to get access to those kids to even volunteer. And so, but I think the message here for everybody who's watching is the world is full of people who need you. And so maybe change the filter on your eyes, and certainly don't look at everybody like they need you, but they'll present themselves to you. I think that, I think both of you said in one way or the other, people see what they're looking for. Okay. People see what they're looking for. And so I think if we take our eyes off our devices and we start just being observant around us. And I guess that's why I go out to eat every day by myself. I love it because I get to watch people. And, you learn so much by doing that. And I think it's just those little acts of kindness, those random acts of kindness. I know that's so cliche-ish, but can you imagine if 300 million people in America today did a random act of kindness?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, think about the accumulative effect of that. And for those of you who did not see the episode prior to this one is episode 21. So it would have been episode 20 with Bette Vernon. There's a brand new ministry that's targeting 30 million Christian grandparents. It only takes 10% of a culture activated and motivated to change a culture. So if 30 million Christian grandparents decided to take a more active role in the spiritual upbringing and the guidance, the moral compass of a child, our problem would be solved. That's how simple it is. And of course, not everybody's going to do it. And some people need to do 2 or 3, but I think you both have given me so much hope today, and I think you've given my audience tremendous hope today. Are there any things, I mean, both of you have your own businesses to help individuals, and there may be some people who are watching today that just need some individual counseling, and both of you offer that. So Dima, we'll start first with the Willow Group, just the new group that you started a year ago. Would you tell us briefly about that?
Sure, but before I do that, I just want to share a quote that I came across this past week listening to a podcast, and it's actually from Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he says, "We need to reach out in love, compassion, and courage." And I think that kind of sums up everything that we've been talking about in terms of how we need to reach out to other people that we see. So I just love that, though. Love, compassion, and courage. Because it does take courage to step out of our comfort zone to be able to help somebody else or to recognize somebody else. So anyway, the Willow Group. So the Willow Group is where I do the podcast. It's the sponsor of the podcast, Embrace the Wrestle like wrestling. And it's everything mental health and life in general. And I'm doing one podcast a month, and it's on any, wherever you listen to podcasts, you should be able to find it. And then I'm also excited to say that I'm starting to do some coaching with women who want to level up their success in their career. And it's really about looking inside and what those obstacles are that get in our way, and figuring out a way to eliminate or go around those obstacles. So
Awesome. And so could you tell the audience how to reach out to you personally for that? I know we can find Embrace the Wrestle on any podcast platform, but how would they reach out to you?
So you can reach out to me. I have a website, and it's www.embracethewrestle.net, all lowercase. And or you can reach me at my email, LaDema, LADEMA, all lowercase, at Gmail. Oh no, at embracethewrestle.net. So LaDema at embracethewrestle.net. Too many emails to remember.
It's okay. All right, Dima, we'll have that on the screen, and it'll also be a link in our text wherever you found this podcast that you can just click and go there. Thank you. Thank you. Laura, you have also a brand new service called Under the Mantle. Tell us about Under the Mantle.
Before I get into that, I just wanted to just leave one little nugget. I think sometimes people really have a desire, but may not know, well, what can I do? They may not feel equipped. They may not feel, worthy, or like they're going to do something wrong whenever they want to go out and just to make a difference. And I would suggest maybe an approach. Just, what would you do if that was your child? What would you do if that was your grandchild? What would you do if that was your niece, your nephew? It doesn't have to be, it's not a skill, it's a move of the heart.
Ooh,
and so I would just say that you are equipped. You're breathing, you've got a heart full of love and a desire to do something. Just move out of that place, and you can't go wrong.
Thank you.
So, Under the Mantle. This has been brewing in my heart for a couple of years. Just seeing that, in mental health, we deal a lot with the signs of the mind, but truly knowing that we are mind, body, and spirit. We are a whole person, mind, body, and spirit. And I just want to help people to be reintegrated into that place of wholeness, and really looking at the things that keep us from being whole and in alignment with our mind, body, and spirit. So things like mother wounds, father wounds, forgiveness or unforgiveness, strongholds, things that we tend to, no matter how much we work on them, it's still there. and I have a great respect for therapy and for mental health, and but sometimes we need more.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are mind, body, and spirit. And everything that goes, like 95% of the things that happen in our mind and emotion manifest physically in our body. And so much physical wellness can come from emotional healing and spiritual healing that I just feel this call to journey with people to a place of wholeness. So I'm really
Beautiful.
excited. Like this I'm still working on the brand and launching website and all that. So this is like new last week. uh, yeah, last week.
Well, uh, and they can reach you to find out more about your service and what you're doing at your Gmail account.
Yes, Mane and Mantle at gmail.com. MANE, like a lion's mane, and AND Mantle, MANTLE at gmail.com.
Okay. All right. And you'll see that logo up on our screen, and all of this will be obviously in our text information. Well, I feel better. I feel better. I feel affirmed. And, and that's kind of my mission with every one of these episodes, guys, is that people leave going, okay, there is hope. There is hope. And sometimes in a very dark world and very dark times that we may be experiencing right now, that there is hope. And the hope lies within each of us. And where we get our strength is obviously from a greater power. And so you guys, it's all one big package. You can't do one without the other. And so all these beautiful people that have come to you, and especially today on such late notice, I just want to cry, LaDema and Laura, for coming, because this is so hard for people to think that they would send their children to school and not come home because of just the brokenness. And so all we can do is what the one little boy did. We can save the one starfish, and it will make a difference. And so I just challenge everybody today. Your homework is to start believing in yourself that you can make a difference. Laura, when you said it's a movement of the heart, and you are equipped. You are equipped, guys, to do this. And so reach out to LaDema, reach out to Laura if you personally need some help. These are people I would trust with my life. I've sought counseling with both of these women on personal issues or situations where I was like, I don't know how to deal with this, because I know this is what they do for a living. And I trust them, or I wouldn't bring them here to you today if I didn't. So all their information is in the text information. Use these resources, you guys, and invest in yourself. Laura, LaDema, you have been a bright, shiny light. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. All right, you guys, I promise you the next episode will be on the road. We'll be learning how to pack. You're going to meet Kinder Cross, who is an expert packer. I'm going to be taking notes myself, and then I'm going to pull on my wisdom of 2 million air miles and a whole lot of car miles to tell you about travel. So get ready for the rest of June episodes. Thank you guys so much for being part of Common Sense Choices. Remember to like, share, and comment, and your name will be entered into a drawing. And check out our store at lindatoupin.com. And remember our concierge service, and I would love to deliver every one of these episodes directly to you. All right, Laura, LaDema, I will talk with you guys later. Again, a million thank yous. All right, thanks everybody.
Bye.